All right. Actually got a chance to get that to work, so that's good. That's progress, to say the very least. Let's see here. Oh, fucking A. Let's let's see. What else do we need to do here? Try to get this together. Okay. So that should be good. Test out the chat real fast. Fucking A. Fucking A. Man. Fucking A. Let's see here. Jesus Christ, bro. What the hell happened over the last couple days since I've seen y'all? What the hell, man? Shit. What's up, Dwight? Like, what's up, man? How you doing? Shit, man. I was trying to start the stream early, dude, so I could get in and talk about some of the nonsense that was coming up today. Fucking couldn't get anything to work. That shit blows. But I mean, it eventually worked out, so it is what it is. But yeah, dude. Like, and I'm listening to Raw Phil right now, dude, and fucking DSP sounds unfucking hinged and all kinds of extra shit. Oh my god, son. Like, fucking hey. Shit. So, crazy stuff, man. Let's see. Can't believe that nonsense, bro. God damn, dude. Fucking crazy. Alright, so here's the thing. So as you guys know, the Kino Casino joint's supposed to happen, like, in a little bit. So I'm not going to hold you guys, because I'm sure there's a bunch of other people restreaming that shit. I really just want to speak on... I want to speak on at least some of this Kino Casino shit. The situation with Duty, and this back and forth or whatever, and the situation with Josh, and then that's probably going to be it. And then, if everything works out, I'll catch y'all probably later on, like after the Kino Casino shit, and then we may speak about this further. So this may actually be short. Probably won't get any notifications later though, because YouTube only sends out like 3, maybe 4 notifications per channel. So you guys might not. So if I go live later, you guys may not catch it. But you know, it is what it is. So fucking A, man. Let's see, Dwight. Since we chilling right now and whatnot, let me go ahead and bring you in.
I'm taking a step back from DSP.
Actually, here, let me play this one more time, because I don't think it came through the first time. Right?
Dwight Race says, "The gay ops is real right now. I'm taking a step back from DSP."
Well, if you wouldn't mind elaborating on that, man, because like I really haven't been on Twitter like that. I was up there a little bit this morning just to see what was going on with like who was tweeting what and what was going on, but I'm not like really entangled. Like I'm to be honest with you, I'm like kind of shotgunning the current situation up till I don't know. I've been probably binge watching like Snorpino videos for like the last few hours, and that's it. So I'm like, so whatever gay ops is going on, I'm out the loop. But let's go ahead and start the conversation as it pertains to Duty, at least at current, because I heard Duty had a stream today. Keem comes up there. They have a back and forth about who's right, who's wrong, what's legal, what isn't. I didn't watch that, so I don't know. I got somebody that's transcripting it for me. I'll read that in a little bit. As it pertains to this back and forth with Duty, though, I don't know what Duty's initial plans were, but he kind of got set up, to be honest. The reason why I say that is Duty is very, how do I word this? Duty's kind of particular with what he does and how he does it. For example, for those of you who know, there was a time not too long ago where if you had talked shit about Duty under a YouTube video, he would more than likely respond to you. The thing is it wouldn't be his YouTube video. It would be under another detractor video. And like I said, someone leave a comment about, oh, Duty's a dent. Whatever. Any fucking silly ass shit. And Duty would respond to that shit, like, rather quickly. Which I always thought was an odd thing, but to be honest, he's not the only detractor who's been known to do that. So he's not the first. It's just he's probably one of the more recent examples of someone who does that. Not a good look, to be honest. That tells me that you're way too invested in what people think about you. Like, people would respect him more if he didn't do that. Now, I don't know if he does it now, but I know he used to do it. So I'm not sure what his scenario is now. Maybe he grew out of it. One can only hope. But I always thought that was pretty much not a good look. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between an easy target and a soft target. So strap in. Duty is a soft target. He's not an easy target. I think people misconstrued and they believe he's an easy target and he's not. He's a soft target. Duty has no real defenses, to be honest with you. He has no one to really defend him, except for the couple of people that are in his circle. Everybody else is like pretty much off doing their own thing or fighting their own battles, or they're just farming for content. That's Duty's kind of first issue. His second issue is he, as I said earlier in my first example, he's almost a given, if not a guarantee, to respond to anything and everything that people say about him, which is very problematic because people can manipulate you into certain situations if that ends up being the case. Because of that, it puts him in very advantageous situations. It puts him in conversations where he's not thinking. And this is where Kino, whether DSP chose to go after Duty streams on his own, which probably is not the case, or Kino nudged him into doing it, Duty is not paying attention. He's so concerned about what's right in his face that he's not thinking about what's getting ready to come down the line. And he's being set up. And I have no attachment to Duty. I've never spoken to him. I don't ever expect to. I have no allegiance to that dude. No nothing. So to be honest, I shouldn't care either which way. But I will say, I don't like the fact that he's getting set up and he's being set up the way he is, because it could be easily avoided. So I'll do a solid, not to Duty, but to those of you who may end up doing content later or whatever, and and see how it all plays out. And Duty can do whatever. Duty can move however which way he feels like moving. Duty has some problems in that, not this whatever this shit is that DSP is talking about on this this pre-read podcast. Not that shit, because I don't know what that was, because I didn't watch Duty stream to see what that whole situation was with him and Keem. So I can't speak on that part. I will say, to be honest, as it pertains to Duty's mods, big ups to them, because DSP, for whatever reason, felt brave to go over there on Duty stream and get into his chat and want to comment, and then he supposedly gets timed out for like 30 minutes or whatever. Big ups to that, because the way DSP mistreats people who comes into his chat, not just on YouTube, but on Twitch. And it's funny how DSP was on that stream right now, crying like a bitch, talking, man, I didn't know any time me out. Yeah. That's the same shit that you've done to other people, and you did it for no reason. Most of the time, you did it because they had a name that was similar to another name that you thought you didn't like, and you just were randomly timing people out for no reason. Then you expected people to send you emails to apologize to you and then let them back on. So DSP got a taste of his own medicine today. And the fact that he's a crying little bitch about it, and he thought that somehow, some way, Duty was going to Duty and his mods were supposed to ingratiate themselves into letting DSP on, was fucking hilarious. So big ups to Duty's mods for nipping that shit in the butt, because to get the reaction that they got out of DSP today, people need to clip that shit, because that shit was priceless. Because DSP was damn near crying about it. Damn near crying. So that was funny. The next part though, let's see here. As it pertains to Duty, he needs to be careful about what comes up next, because Kino has a lot of shit they can use against them. They can literally use his relationship with Rich, which they will eventually. Sooner than later, they're going to do that. And there's a bunch of things to slap him with, because Duty was around when the situation with side scrollers happened. He was around when the situation with Travis of side scrollers went around, and what's his name? Rich was running around calling people token gays and all this other silly shit. And Duty's on record for saying Rich never did anything to him, so he's not going to speak on shit. On top of that, if they go back into Duty's history, anybody at Kino could bring up the fact of the stream that he had with Keem, he had with Craig, he had with Gundam and all those guys, and the impression that came out of that, where they were like, you're really extra about this shit, and this sounds problematic. This shit doesn't sound fun no more. So there's that nonsense that he may have to deal with. The situation with Miller, then that situation that ended up going to That Being Said, and That Being Said calling him out for the same shit that Miller did, and how he responded to that. There's all kinds of issues you can hit Duty with, and if Duty's not thinking about that, eventually they're going to just clam him up in a bad situation. Now, with that being said, DSP is a piece of shit, because he's out here trying to make it sound like Duty was the best and brightest that we sent out. First things first, I don't remember nobody sending Duty out there. I don't remember that being a thing. Second, because Duty is a soft target, outside of people in his own circle, he doesn't have any real alliances with anybody. He's just kind of out there. It is what it is. If let's say hypothetically, if Duty falls tomorrow, then someone just steps into his place. It is what it is. So I don't know what type of point DSP was trying to make, but it's pretty stupid. It's not like that was Tevin. It's not like that was Theo. It's not like that's Agent Proper. It's not like that's Piece of Peace. It's not like that's Ann. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like these are not the same type of situations. If something happened to some of those fellas, then there would be some uproar. With Duty, it's just Duty. Either Duty takes a break and he come back, or someone steps in his place. So I don't know what DSP's trying to make out of it. Like, this is some major win, and he somehow put a hurting on detractors as a whole, because that's just not how it plays. But Duty should be careful with how he moves going forward, because his history could come back on him. And I don't know what happened on his stream. I don't know what was allegedly exposed and what isn't, so I can't comment on that until I read the transcripts. So there's that. And to be honest with you, as this Duty situation has gone on, like I said, I don't know if Duty had a plan, but what I will say, an unexpected thing that did come out of it, there's two things actually that I've seen so far, is one, DSP is starting to grow more confident with that WWE Championship. So either he admits something, or he slips up and accidentally admits something that can be used against him later. We'll see. The second thing, though, I think, is Duty showing how much money he made, and that shit really, 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 really rattled DSP. So, not to say DSP still isn't a liar, he is, but it's very clear that the amount of money DSP makes per click or whatever, or per ad or whatever the situation is, and what Duty makes is two separate things. And when DSP brought up that Duty made $5,000, he initially tried to come up with the excuse of, oh, well, he didn't factor in this, he didn't factor in that. Sorry, let me be more precise. He didn't factor in super chats, he didn't factor in super stickers or super thanks, or whatever. So how do we know that's strictly ad revenue and what isn't? But then, in the next snort, DSP goes and says, well, I pull in half, a little less than half of what Duty makes, so you guys kind of have an idea of about what I make. But it wasn't what DSP said. It was how he said it. Which makes me believe, which I've always believed anyway, that DSP's pulling like $2,000 a month. Barely, to be honest with you, if it comes to ad revenue. To be honest, when DSP says I make about half of what Duty makes, I'm thinking what he's actually admitting to is between memberships, super chats, and ad revenue. Now, tips is obviously a completely different thing, so let's not talk about that. We're talking about the actual revenue sources he gets on YouTube. He's probably pulling about $2,000, maybe 22, maybe 2,500. That shit with Duty's money rattled DSP. That rattled him. And so this whole nonsense about Duty's obsessed with him, if you want to call it that, call it whatever you want. But I will say that, to be honest with you, DSP, you're just as obsessed with Duty. And you're just as obsessed with his money. And you coping with the whole, oh, his views or my views, that's some shit that he used against Tevin and the Restreamers back in the day. It didn't stick, and that's why DSP gave up on it. But he can keep hitting Duty with it because he knows that Duty doesn't have any allies. So he can go ahead and keep smacking Duty with that shit, and he knows Kino Casino will back him up. Supposedly Keemstar is now looking into shit. That's what makes Duty a soft target, not an easy one. So I'm not saying that Duty is the punching bag right now. I will say that whatever his next move is, it needs to be better than what he's displayed now. Because if not, they're going to hem him up. They're going to hem him up. Because Kino Casino is not just Warski and PPP. There's a group of people who like dig up shit for them, help them find shit, help put shit together for them. They've been on duty for a minute. They've and I don't need confirmation for that. I'm pretty confident they've been on duty for a minute. And I'm sure Duty knows that as well. So there's a situation with that. Let's jump over to Josh from the farms. Given how Josh has been rattled over the last couple of days, he's been rattled for the last like 2 weeks because he started some shit over there with the Medicare thread, and that I don't know what that was, but that wasn't working out in his favor. And now he's accusing people on the farms in the DSP sub thread of asking him to drop the thread or archive everything and just close it just so another site can pick it up, which is kind of funny and kind of silly, to be honest. I think Josh has taken this shit too far. I think it's starting to sink in for Josh that he was a little too hasty with that bullshit that he did with ProleteR, with Piece of Peace, and some of those other guys, and pushing them out. And he's starting to lose ground, especially given the amount of consistent traffic that the DSP thread brings to the farms. It brings in a lot of traffic. A lot of consistent traffic. And on top of that consistency, then once they hit the DSP thread, because that's what most of those guys' primary objective is, then they branch out and see what's going on in some of the other threads, and then they move on with their day. Josh should be okay with that. Instead, he, I think, is so fixated on trying to get other people to cross-pollinate into other threads to get that traffic up. I think he cares more about bringing traffic and keeping traffic on his site instead of being concentrated in one place to diversify it or cross-pollinate it through the other parts of the site more than he gives a shit about DSP. I don't think he gives a fuck about DSP. You want to know why I know he don't give a fuck about DSP? Because there's people in the fucking girl world thread that are doxing each other's kids and all this other silly shit. Pulling up people's dead parents and shit, looking out to see whose parents, whose family members are pedophiles and all that bullshit. He ain't stopping that. He ain't losing no sleep over that shit. And that's just in the girl world thread. You go into the horror cow thread and you go into some of those other threads and shit gets even crazier. He ain't saying nothing about that. He keeps fixating on that DSP thread. Why? You really think DSP is gonna get the redemption arc? He's gonna be the king for the year or some bullshit that fucking major media outlets are gonna start writing stories about him? Grow up. Grow up. That's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? That's not even gonna happen. DSP is not even at the peak of his nonsense yet. His king for the day moment hasn't even happened yet. He's just building up to it. Because what he's trying to do is he's trying to smite his enemies and then trying to build them up and have them side with him. You see that with the Keemstar shit. He's basically using Keem. Just like what he did with Kino Casino the other night in that whole chain together bullshit. He basically used them to do all the heavy lifting in the game. Most of the fuck-ups were DSP's fault. DSP's fault. You know what I'm saying? Kino carried his ass. And then, ironically enough, DSP didn't even want to play. He just wanted to sit around and talk. He's trying so desperate to make himself seem valuable as a third seat on their show. That's what his objective is. He doesn't give a fuck about playing games or whatnot. The fuck's he care about that bullshit? He hates doing that shit on his own stream. Why would he want to do it with others? There's a reason why he didn't collaborate with people. He didn't want to. He wants to sit there and he wants to talk for a living. He wants to turn on that stream, right? He wants to get into the pre-re podcast, and if he could go for 4 hours and get $200, get $300 off that shit, that's what he would do. And then the night stream, he would play whatever weak-ass game that he thinks he could get views off that he can't, and that'd be the end of his day. Because theoretically, in his book anyway, he'd be winning. That's what the real situation is. The whole DSP politics bullshit is just that. It's bullshit. He knows he has no ground to stand on. He has no allegiance to anything. What about all those people who used to say that, oh, DSP has pride? How much pride have you guys seen in the past month? In the last month that I saw this piece of shit on his hoof and knee sucking dick to anything that Kino Casino said. Shit that other detractors, trolls, haters, and critics have said to him for years. Shit that his fan base, the people who give him money, have been saying to him for years. Oh, he came up with all the excuses not to do it. Now he's sitting there trying to turn his set, quote unquote, his set into the fucking basically an off branch a pathetic, gouty carbon copy, if you will, of what Kino Casino has. That's all he's doing. He's not, there's not a bit of what he's doing right now that's actually him. It's Kino. He's trying to do anything and everything that Kino Casino would expect of him. And that's all it is. And Kino's going to go with it because Kino's using him just like DSP is using them. That's all this shit is. That's all this is. That's all it's ever going to be. The thing is it's getting old. And it's getting old fast. Because now that DSP has someone he can latch himself onto, he wants to do everything he can to keep it. Let me give you an example. So let's go ahead and look back at the situation. Let's look at DSP's relationship with Panda. Panda loved him. She was willing to stick around. All the bullshit, yada, 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 yada. The moment that she ended up getting a job, she saw how life really was. She actually wanted to get married and all that nonsense. DSP wasn't ready for none of that. Nor he didn't want any of it. He just thought he could keep just basically dragging her along because he ain't pulled her from all the way across the country anyway. What was she going to do? Where was she going to go? So he treated her any which way because what was she going to do? Next thing you know, she ends up actually picking up and leaving. That's what hurt him. Other than the fact that she probably cheated. But that's what hurts him. So when everybody's like, oh, well, look at Kat. He ended up putting a ring on it. Yeah, he put a ring on it to make sure she couldn't leave. He pulled her from halfway across the country, a little more, a little less, and whatnot, kept her around for a year, then put a ring on that shit. And then cut her from the internet. Then cut her from the gym. And then she doesn't even probably go out with her friends anymore. If she even had any friends, to be honest. So now the chick literally has nothing but food, Netflix, and whatever African music she's listening to. Whatever it is that helps her remind her of Jim, Tyrone, Tevin, and all that. Other than that, she don't have nothing. And he's okay with it. He's literally okay with it. So DSP didn't change for the better. He just did what he had to do to try to lock people in. So let's go ahead and take Kino Casino, for example. Why the fuck do you think he's always stalking those guys? Why do you think he's always talking about them? He don't want them to leave. He doesn't want them to pick up and leave him. So he'll try to do anything he can to make himself valuable to them to do so. Because he doesn't want another John and Howard situation to happen. Because when Kino Casino leaves him, and it's not a matter of how, but it's a matter of when, then everybody will look at DSP again and be like, damn, did it to John and Howard. You did it to Brian multiple times. Now you did it to Kino Casino. That's why he was so dejected when Mutahar didn't pop up. But he only wants Mutahar for his viewer base anyway. He only wants Keem so he can spike Keem. And if he does go to locale, I heard his little, I'll show up on your fucking show for 2 hours if you pay me 50 grand. Fuck all that bullshit. If DSP can make demands and actually have them stick, he'll go to fucking Kino Casino and whatnot, because Boogie and fucking Wings ain't got shit going for them. So if DSP is praised as the savior of that show, as long as Keem goes ahead and meets DSP's demands, DSP will go over there. DSP ain't got no pride about none of this shit, especially if Kino's like, hey, go over there and get that money. Go over there and get that money, Phil. Yeah, you need to do that. And then you'll have your own podcast. You can guest star with us sometimes, unless there's something in your contract that says you can't. And now you got your own thing. Now you actually can be the king of your own table with your own whatever, your own little court with Boogie and what's it called? You theoretically could have you could literally be running 3 different podcasts at one time. You're telling me PPP wouldn't say that shit to him? And if PPP worded it in such way, you don't think DSP wouldn't think, well, damn, I could get 50 grand, I could get 2,000 a week, I could still hang out with you guys, and I still have my own King's Court? And if that's the case, that gets DSP out of doing games during the day. If you really think about it. At least a couple of days a week. So, like, you know what I'm saying? That's a win-win if PPP and Andy decide to go ahead and fucking stroke it in a certain type of way that is appealing to DSP. Now, is this a win as it pertains to what my thoughts are? No, it's fucking stupid as shit. And it won't last because DSP's boring as shit. Unless DSP can really get up there and he's really gonna fucking speak his mind, then who gives a fuck? Like, who really gives a shit? Like, one, he's sitting around running around using the word felted, using it improperly, obviously. The dude really doesn't want to speak on anything unless he knows people are going to back him up and keep fighting for him moving forward, because DSP can't fight his own battles. Like, this shit is fucking lame as hell. That's why the whole Kino thing is starting to slowly but surely fizzle out. You know what I'm saying? Andy has his moments with it. PPP's willing to stick to the bit, but he'll only do that shit for so long. So DSP is going to eventually have to do something if you're going to make shit happen. If not, you're wasting time. And that's the thing. DSP is literally there to try to waste their time. He's hoping to hang around long enough to where they just accept him, right? And they just accept him. He just pops up one day and they're like, oh, hey, Phil. And then they start the show. That's what DSP is hoping for. Because DSP's always been like that. You know what I mean? Look at the whole shit with fucking June the King. Look at that nonsense. The way DSP explains it, he's been on June's ass for probably every day for weeks. For weeks, if not longer than that. He's probably been harassing June, being like, hey, what's in the documentary? What is it at this part? Where's at this part? Who'd you speak to? Yada, yada, yada. Just so DSP can have some type of preset to what's coming up next. I can see him fucking harassing June. And June should come out and say, hey, Phil, don't you think you were a bit obsessive with how often you were fucking DMing me and whatnot? Because I don't think DSP would text him or call him. I don't think they had that type of relationship. But I bet you he's been DMing him a shitload. And I'm assuming Twitter. But June has a Discord, I think. So who's to say what's up with that? But that's how DSP implements pignosis. That's how he pig whistles. That's how he controls people. He has to stay on top of you. He has to be able to stay on top of you. Another example, look at the whole situation with back to Mutahar, when he ends up nuking his Twitter and shit. DSP was frantic on that fucking pre-stream talking about how am I supposed to get a hold of you? How am I supposed to contact you? This, that, and that. Who said you need to contact anybody about anything, bitch? He's talking to Kino. Kino will let you know what's going on. You don't need to interject yourself into that situation, just like that situation with Medicare. When PPP and fucking Andy were talking to Medicare, being like, hey, if you'd be willing to come onto the show, you could talk to DSP, this, that, and the third. Then somehow DSP needed to interject himself into that too. Why? Let PPP and fucking Andy do their job and let them set shit up. And that, chat, goes back to what I was saying about DSP and fucking Machinima and YouTube. And DSP deleted all those videos because he messaged Machinima obsessively. Then he started messaging YouTube. Neither one of them got back to them because they were both trying to figure out what they were going to do and figure out what was going on. DSP panicked and he deleted all those videos. Now, DSP's already admitted that, but he still wants to hold on to the lie that, oh, they told me to do it. YouTube told me to do that. Why would YouTube tell you to delete videos when Machinima's job was to sit there and manage your ass? Why would YouTube tell you to delete something when you don't go through YouTube? You go through Machinima. Machinima would have told you to do that. And why would Machinima tell you to delete videos when they have contact with YouTube and they can work this shit out? Make that make sense. So you're telling me somebody who has a history of being a fucking perpetual moron, absolute fucking mouth drooling, mouth breathing piece of shit, you're gonna tell me that this dude right here is winning? You're gonna tell me he's got shit under control? You're telling me that him belting duty or whatever the fuck's going on over there with that shit, you're telling me that affects me and my stance? You would think that affects any other detractor, troll, hater, and critic? DSP really thinks he got a win today? I heard what DSP said, talking that bullshit about, I'm really scared. You're really scared? Oh, we're recycling shit now. Because you had already recycled the shit with Tevin when, once you demonetize your well, actually, I don't think he ever told Tevin to demonetize. I think he just asked him to stop. He called him a thief because he black. But he called him a thief. And he said that he was a piece of shit who was on his coattails and wouldn't be known for anything if it wasn't for him. And then he went ahead, and then when none of that shit worked, and after he got Tevin kicked off of Twitch, which DSP did, and eventually that's going to come out. DSP was like, well, the guy has a lot of talent, and I think he's charismatic, but I wish he would just stop stealing from me, man. I just wish he stopped doing his own content. And then eventually he just gave up altogether because he couldn't beat Tevin. He just couldn't beat him. So he just stopped. So now you want to sit there and regurgitate that shit with Duty, but you're not going to give Duty all the praise. You're just going to say, oh, he's a thief. You're trying to do this slander, defamation, libel, whatever, because DSP don't know what he's really talking about anyway, right? DSP, you really don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's why you got to keep throwing out all these terms. That's why you spent the last couple of days on your pre-streams trying to get the chat to try to clarify shit for you. So when you get Josh up there today, you're going to try to throw that in Josh's face. Oh, well, you know what, Josh? One of the reasons why all these fucking mentally ill idiots out here have all this information is because of you, dude. It's because of your site, man. It's your fucking responsibility, man. You're the one who did this to me. That's DSP is gonna pull that is more than likely gonna pull a variation of that bullshit. Because he's gonna sit there and look at Josh and be like, if the information wasn't collected on your site, dude, I wouldn't have to worry about this, man. This is what you do, man. I hope DSP is brave enough to try to call Josh a misery merchant. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear that shit come out of his snout. I doubt he'll do it, but it'd be funny to hear it. But he's definitely going to try to fucking guilt trip Josh into doing something stupid. Josh probably isn't going to do it because he needs the traffic. And as much as he hates the DSP thread, he needs the DSP thread. He's needed it for years. Like in 2017 is when that shit popped off. Let me give you an example. As it pertains to threads out there, and there are some pretty popular threads, I frequent some of them, but Chantel or Foodie Beauty, her thread is just about to close in on 10,000 posts. 10,000. It's about to, or 10,000 pages. It's about to close in on that. DSP is on the second general discussion page, and it's almost at 5,000. And it did it in far less time than Chantel's fucking thread's been up. Just to give you an idea of the sheer amount of traffic that goes over there. Consistently. Whether times are good or times are bad. You really think Josh can afford to lose that? And then Josh sounds like he's scared that people are trying to tell, as I said earlier, that people are trying to get him to close the thread, so all that traffic goes to Galtopia.net. Sorry. And who said that? Who's plotting this to do all that? Like, put a name to it. And now Josh is also trying to say that all those people just upped and quit, and that's not what happened. But semantics. We'll see how Josh responds to some of that stuff later on Kino. We'll see. Like, did everybody just lose their goddamn mind while I've been gone? Like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? The last time we spoke, chat, I said this shit was a card game. This is final table. Everybody play their cards out. Why are we forcing hands? Why are we trying to push other people into going all in? What's going on? Is there not enough content out here for y'all to eat off of? What's wrong? Now, at the end of the day, do what you want. It is what it is, because the content going to show up no matter what. But what the hell happened? Everybody plays everybody else's hands. Everybody has a good time with it. Those who will fuck up, as I expected, and some of what I said that I told you guys actually happened, was gonna fuck up. Everybody just needs to play their part. It is what it is. Like, I'm really, really confused and whatnot. And DSP's false bravado, I'm cool with him having that, because eventually that's gonna fade out. It's gonna crash hard. So I'm surprised. And then how the fuck is DSP talking to Josh today, and then he's gonna talk to Keem on Wednesday? How the fuck did that happen? On top of that, does DSP not know that? Because one of you guys told me about this a couple of streams ago, and then I was able to verify it. Andy is linked to Keemstar through Happy Punch, but DSP was just talking shit about Happy Punch the other day, talking about how it was a failure, this, that, and the third. Their last event wasn't. So you know what I'm saying? Like, DSP is already shitting the bed. Now Andy's not going to move against DSP because of that, but let that shit accumulate and then see what happens. I don't know. I don't understand why. I don't understand what the urgency is. Like, nobody's losing. You know what I'm saying? As far as I see. Big ups to Snorpernell, Memology, Hate Army, because those are the guys I've been pretty much catching up on content on as of late. To be honest. Been binge watching that for the last maybe 12 hours, give or take. Not the full 12 hours, but you know what I mean. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm gonna let it play out either which way, but that's where our situation is. But big ups to Dwight. I'm gonna go down this further. We'll see what you say. Let's see here. Let's see what the chat's saying. Let's punch you guys in. Here we go.
Sheer King says, DSP will get too confident for his own good.
He's already there, my friend.
Almighty Gookie says, W internet being resurrected.
Yeah, kind of. Like I said, DSP's definitely been going through a slow point as of late.
Donut Sensei says, put some bacon into my coffee.
I got you.
Frederick Dawson says, what's up, my man?
What's up, man? Welcome to the stream.
Kumi Connors says, Golden Triangle Gaming Live, are you saying duty's in trouble?
I'm not saying Duty's in trouble. I'm not saying like he's personally in trouble. I don't know what the details of what happened today is. What I am saying is that there are stuff that could potentially be in the works that he needs to be looking ahead on. That's what I'm saying. How much trouble he's in is how he reacts to the situation. So I can't speak on it any further than that. I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm just going off of what I said, or what I'm thinking. To be honest with you, how I'm seeing the landscape. You know what I'm saying? Because PPP, theoretically, the casino have set it up to where, look at all this stuff about Duty, look at all this stuff right here, look at this, look at this, look at this. That's an old ass fucking tactic that's being used in the internet blood sports, against the skeptics and the fucking right and all that bullshit for a long ass time. Focus on this while we're getting ready to set you up with what's going on over here. What's being presented in front of Duty, at least up until earlier today, was nothing. He should have shaken that shit off and just kept putting out his content. Who gives a fuck how much content he put out a day? It didn't bother him when fellow detractors, trolls, haters, and critics brought it up. So who gives a fuck if what Kino Casino says? But he needs to stay focused. He shouldn't be so hyper vigilant on what's in front of him, because that shit doesn't mean nothing. It's what's coming up later. It's the shit that he has done in the past that people are clearly looking for, is what he needs to be paying attention to. Because the shot that hurts the most is the one you're not expecting. It's always going to be the shot that hurts you the most. That's all. Like I said, I don't know Duty. I don't owe him nothing. He don't owe me nothing. Call it professional courtesy. He needs to keep his eyes focused, and he needs to keep his hands up.
Dwight Race says, I just need people to stop treating Doty as if he's the spokesman for all detractors. He doesn't speak for me.
He don't speak for me either. But at the end of the day, most of the people who say that are part of Duty's community. So I understand your frustration, but don't get upset with that, because you know he don't speak for you. He don't speak for me. He don't speak for Peace. He don't speak for none of us. He speaks for himself and whatnot. Now, PPP and the rest of them will go ahead and angle it and whatnot. They may shift some extra cards into the deck and whatnot to try to trip you up, but don't get upset at that, because they'll just go ahead and use your frustration and be like, oh, see, that's one of Duty's boys right there. Look at him. Look at him in the chat acting all crazy. Look at him on Twitter upset. Look at him emotional. They're just going to use that against you. So, like I said, you got to let some of that shit slide.
Silent Weapon C8 says, this is all just a cash grab, felting dents for their welfare checks.
Literally, that's all it is. It may be one of the biggest cash grabs that's happened in the DSP community. Almost up to, as it's close. It's getting up there to like the Vest Street type shit. Not the money that DSP's made. Let me clarify it. I'm talking about the amount of people surrounding the situation that are making bank off this. Which, get your money, by the way. Like, I'm all for that. Get your bank. You know what I'm saying? Make your money and whatever. But it's starting to get up into that route. It's starting to get into that situation. And if DSP thinks he's going to ever match the Vest Street, he's delusional, lying to himself.
Donut Sensei says, married the H0E into his mom's basement. Michael Krynakowski says, GTG spittin' facts. Dwight Race says, he put a ring and made her fat to make sure she goes nowhere.
That's literally what it comes down to. He straight up locked her in. That's literally what it was. And whatnot. Because like you say, he can't take rejection. So that's literally all it comes down to. What's up, Jesse?
Frederick Dawson says, gotta lock her in because he been lucky most of the people that knows where the bodies are ain't talking. I see Cat as the only one with a tell-all at the end. Pretty much. Because I understand people want to, are hoping Panda might come out and say something, but she's not. Whatever it is that's keeping Panda quiet, if nothing else, she's loyal. Dwight Race says, Keem said DSP's value is around 1,500 or 2,000 but not 50k.
I wouldn't even pay DSP 1,500, to be honest. He's not worth that. 1,500, well, let's see, were they making 2,000 a week, or were they making 2,000 a month? I think Tommy says they make $2,000 a month. I wouldn't say DSP is worth $2,000 a month. I'd probably 1,000 maybe, and I wouldn't pay him. I would use sponsorship money to, or you know what I'm saying? I use sponsorship money to pay him. I'd never pay that shit out of my pocket.
Silent Weapon C8 says, Figure Phil started pestering June after the Clum doc fell apart.
I honestly think he's been on June even before that. I think, see, because I'm still speculating on what scared him off from the Clum documentary. Because the easy answer, which is usually the most straightforward answer, is he wanted to get ahead of the situation of the cat unveiling, if you will. But to be honest with you, there's something deeper than that. I don't know if Clum let something slip as it pertains to Keem or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure what that situation was, but something ended up getting DSP paranoid, and that's why he ended up bouncing out. And my theory, you can ask Proper, he can back me up on this. My theory was true, that Clum is nothing more than a button man for fucking Keem. Clum is making the documentary and everything, but Keem was funding it. And why not? We've talked about this on stream before, but why not use Mike Clum? He already has all the success coming off of the fucking Boogie doc. If the PPP one is even still going, if that shit's successful, then that shit right there is going to even bring even more acclaim, right? So then DSP is definitely going to end up having to try to sign up with that. And DSP didn't burn the bridge; he just decided to pick up and leave. So, but something happened in their face-to-face encounter that spooked DSP. And I'm wondering if Clum just said something, he let something slip, or he said something that DSP wasn't really expecting, or whatever, and that's what caused him to get scared. But who could say?
Incorrect Beans says, "Oh man, I haven't even thought about that."
Yeah, man, it's really just, like I said, no one really ever puts the relationship between DSP and the people around him. I don't know. It's just thinking outside the box, man. It's nothing really special or unique. It's just me thinking outside the box. It's just me thinking out loud, to be honest. Because I've been away from this for as long as the last stream has been. It gives me a lot of time and perspective when I come back and speak on it. It makes me rethink a lot of the stuff that I've said previously or previous situations. It's allowed me to embellish upon it a little bit more. And I think that's what it is.
Donut Sensei says, "They're not giving me a fair shake, guys."
Excuse me. Let's see here.
Razor Sharp says, "You notice how DSP never had this energy about him before he could hide behind bigger, better, and more talented men than him?"
Well, it goes back to the whole king of hate angle. That shit never went away. He just put that shit under wraps because detractors held it over him, and it was extremely bad optics, right? But a detractor didn't put him in that situation. He put himself in that situation. And then he tried to do this DSP positive bullshit. It didn't work. Then he tries to play this angle. Oh, what happened all 10 years ago or whatever the fuck doesn't apply to what's going on now. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? This whole month, everything that he said over the last few years is bullshit, right? Like absolute bullshit. The drum that I've been beating for the last few years about how DSP has no pride, right? He'll put money before his ego. All of that shit has been proven. Because all the shit that people asked him to do to change up and better himself, he gave you guys every excuse in the world for it. All this bullshit. And for whatever reason, people thought, oh, he's just stubborn. He's just hard-headed. He's just too prideful. He ain't too prideful now. He ain't too prideful now. Andy and PPP showed up, unzipped their pants, and DSP was right on his knees, right next to Officer Sanders, giving the weakest blowjob ever. Ever. And he did that shit with a smile on his face. And then when PPP grabbed his head and whatnot and smiled at him, DSP basically begged for more. That shit's pathetic. I don't give a fuck what no one says. So, anybody else who wants to keep talking that pride shit, come see me. Come see me. I'd like to have a conversation. I'd like to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Come see me. You know what I'm saying? You've seen over the last month him on his hands and knees like a bitch, a straight prostitute. And you still gonna tell me about pride? Come see me. You know what I'm saying? Come see me. Holy shit. Got me fucked up with this shit.
Dwight Race says, "Too many people doing gay ops right now, GTG."
Yeah, someone sent me a thing on Twitter, actually. I'm reading it as I'm clowning around with you guys. And they're kind of giving me the lowdown. There's a few people I want to talk to for some clarification. But I do kind of see what you're talking about, Dwight. If you have anything else that you can embellish me on, man, like I think I'm following you on Twitter, man. Just send me a DM, man. I'd like to hear you out. But yeah, DSP don't have no pride, bro. DSP's never had pride. And it was and to be honest with you, it was troll remorse in a lot of ways. It was one of the few things that detractors, trolls, haters, and critics could give the DSP because it was really hard to explain why he does what he does. But at the end of the day, he's the same useless piece of pig meat, piece of pork, other white meat. You know what I'm saying? He was no different than any other piece of garbage out here. No different. DSP running around here in Street Fighter calling people worthless pieces of meat. He's right there at the top of the heap. The only difference is he can get cooked right now. Matter of fact, go ahead and put some bacon in that chat. Go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and put some bacon out there. Bacon out there. Let's go ahead and try to help. Let's try to help add to DSP's fucking worth. Do that shit. So yeah, what the fuck, man? He's got no pride at all.
Jesse Green 619 says, DSP need be humbled by somebody.
He does, but it's coming. It's coming. Trust me. He's already laying down the groundwork to have himself fucked. It's going to be great. It's really, really going to be great. The thing is, though, and I mean this when I say this is going to be a long game type situation. Because when I told you guys that initially, I know some of you guys were like, nah, this will be done in a week or two. Nothing serious, yada, yada, yada. We're like a month plus. This shit ain't going nowhere for a while, bruh. There's a lot of working hands in this shit. There's a lot of players behind the scenes that you guys haven't even seen or come into position yet. There's a lot of moving parts right now. So the game hasn't even ended yet, to be honest. And I'm gonna just sit back here. I'm gonna slowly stack my chips. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pick up these small hands and shit and whatever and whatnot. I may or may not be conspiring with ProleteR, who's on the other side of the table and whatnot. And what we're just gonna gather. I'm gonna just keep gathering my chips, nice and slow, right? Until I'm really ready for shit to pop off. And then I'll slowly but surely start pushing people all in, and then going from there. But for right now, sit back and wait. Like I said, DSP's blowing the money as quickly as he's getting it. He's never been so fucking egotistical as it pertains to WWE champions. He's almost there. It's not going to take long. The problem is he has to figure out how to make that account work. Because he said, yesterday or the day before, I saw the Storpino video today. Maybe I can do a WWE Championship account, but maybe I can do it on my PC, because I don't know if I can have two accounts on my phone. I'm not sure if that's a thing. And I wish someone in that chat was like, well, hey, how many line apps can you have, DSP? If someone had did that, DSP wouldn't have thought about it. He might have actually answered that directly. He may have not even thought about it and just answered it out of instinct. So it's the devil in the details. It's little stuff like that BT9494 and TJ Gamebox has taught us about WWE champions over the years is the stuff that we should be using against DSP when he talks that hot snorts, when he's putting out that hot shit. It's those little details are the stuff he's not going to think about. And that's how you catch him. But like I said, slow burn. It's going to be a slow burn.
Grim Phantomile says, if history repeats itself, Piggy will end up screwing himself, one way or another.
Agreed.
Almighty Gookie says, Josh said the DSP thread users are insular and don't go out to other threads.
But that's literally not true, though. That's like literally not true. You know what I'm saying? If you're someone who I've seen multiple people, right, frequent other threads, whether they're in the Wings, they're in a bunch of different threads, but Wings thread, the King Cobra threads, some of them were in Girl World. Shit, I've seen people in Girl World frequent the DSP thread. They may not post, but they view it and whatnot. Stuff like that. So that's literally not true. And Josh knows that. He just doesn't like the idea that he has everybody centralized in one place and he can't get them to move along to other spots. To be honest with you, who the fuck are you to tell me who I can be interested in and who I'm not? I'm on your site. I'm giving you the traffic. I may or may not be fucking donating to you. Who gives a fuck what I'm interested in? Let me just be interested in what the fuck I'm interested in. And if something else catches my fancy, then guess what? I'll go and get it. But if I want to show up and I want the double pulled pork, right, with a side of fucking sweet potato French fries, half salty, half sweet, right, and I want a vanilla bean milkshake and shit, then that's what I want. Oh, and I want my pineapple mango salsa on top of my pulled pork too, by the way. Don't ever forget that. And I want an extra bit of it on the side. Anyway, the point being is, if that's what I want to show up to your fucking restaurant and order, because that's what DSP's reference are, right? If that's what I want to sit there and order, then let me order it. If I decide to change up one day, then I will. If not, I'm not. But at the end of the day, Josh is always going to get the business. He's always going to have people frequent. Who gives a fuck what thread they frequent in? And if we go off of Josh's narrative, the very people who frequent the DSP thread are the very people who cause all the problems and doing all the illegal shit. But that's not true. The very people who went up there for ass pats because they were doing some type of ops off the site and brought attention to it on the site were just that. They were not people who were directly centralized to the site. And people like ProleteR and other guys were sitting there grilling those guys to find out what was what in the first place. That was their job. That's the whole point of having mods. What Josh is mad about is he couldn't go in, tell people to do something, and they didn't have to do it. That's what he was mad about. Which is funny, because when people do that shit to Josh, when they make Josh go through hoops to get certain shit done, because he can't do it on his own name anymore, because his name is tainted and shit, he don't like how it's done. But yet he wants to do it to other people. That's like I tell you guys, you can come to this chat, dude, and you can say what you want. About me, about whatever. But then that's like one day you show up to the chat and you're like, yo, Golden, man, yo, fuck your mic, man. That shit, I don't like that shit. And then I just ban you. Like, you know what kind of piece of shit that made me look? Now, if I unban you, like, immediately, then it's a joke and we all get that. But, like, if I really ban you and then go off on, like, a 5-minute spiel about some bullshit, that makes me a hypocrite. It makes me a hypocrite. If I said 200 days ago, yo, you're welcome to say what you want, then that's what's what. I'm not changing that. Because that's what I put my word to. That's what this is built off of. So if Josh says that the Kiwi Farms is a place where you can have freedom of speech to an extent or whatever, and whatever the case may be, then so be it. So why are you so desperate to get other people to go to other parts of the site? Maybe that shit's not intriguing. Maybe that shit don't catch their interest. If nothing else, if it wasn't for YouTube, if it wasn't for DSP detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, you wouldn't have so many people who frequent the site. That's neither here nor there.
Waterbed 4000 says, I think it's time for the detractors to hit DSP like Wings or Chris Chan.
Let me hear that again.
Waterbed 4000 says, I think it's time for the detractors to hit DSP like Wings or Chris Chan.
Chris Chan, maybe. The Wings is a different type of animal. Like the stuff Wings got pushed with is a different type of animal. But see, then we're pushing DSP into like full blown victim mode, right? That would be kind of us proving him right. Like right now, DSP has put himself into the corner. Or no, DSP thinks he's holding high cards. The river is about to come out, and he thinks straight information and facts is what's winning him the day. That's what he needs to be countered with at the moment. The upping back to like trolling levels and shit, that right there I don't think is the play at the particular moment, but that's just my own opinion though. Keep that in mind. That's just my own opinion.
Athron82 says, honestly, I entered the farms because of DSP, but I stayed for other stuff.
Exactly, and I think a lot of people over there do that. You just, like, Josh should know better. You know what I'm saying? He's just mad that he doesn't get the response from the DSP thread as he get from other threads. But he don't really frequent the other threads, though. Because if he did, he'd be on them for their bullshit. Because every thread is on some bullshit over there. Every community over there has some bullshit going. Fucking A.
Razor Sharp says, everyone's eating good now, but if you think about Phil Bernal and the kind of guy he is, he always FKS up those kinds of situations for himself.
Well, because DSP is like Rich. He wants to have it all. He wants it all. He should be the one that's profiting first and should be profiting the most. And then if it trickles down after that, so be it. That's why that shit with Duty got him shaken up and whatnot. I don't know if that was the play that I would have done if I was Duty, but I gotta admit, it did get results. So it is what it is on that. Oh shit, my thing for Galtopia.net works. Good.
Nightbot says, Gautopia has an official site. https://link brought to you by Agent Proper of the DIA.
Nice. That link should work if you guys ever want to check out Galtopia.net. Big ups to proper. All right, here we go.
Incorrect Beans says. Yeah, Dodie can only put out so much vids cause Phil talks so much weird stuff.
Exactly. Like DSP sitting there talking that shit today. Oh, he put out 16 videos of me like in the last 3 days. That sounds light to me. Because doesn't Duty average like 6 videos a day anyway? So that's par for the course, to be honest with you. And given as much and as given how deep fucking Duty had his balls in fucking DSP's throat over the last few days, that's DSP's fault. You shouldn't have given him all that light. You shouldn't have given Duty all that juice and shit. Duty running around here like he Bishop and whatnot, and he think he doing some shit. That's DSP's fault. To be honest, he's putting out the same amount of content, I guess, that he normally is doing. It's just more hyper focused on you and him instead of overall the dumb shit that DSP says, and that's what bothers DSP. But then DSP, you could tell in this pre-stream, DSP was mad because if you go back to what I said about that $5,000, DSP's realizing, fuck, I'm helping this guy make that $5,000. I'm literally contributing to him directly to make that $5,000. And you see how it's slowly but surely building up with DSP and starting to irritate him. So he's trying to fearmonger the dents and everybody else, right? But slowly but surely, if you look at him, he's getting more and more pissed off because he can't stop it. That's the thing about Duty's got him pissed off.
Vicious says. Yeah, and Dodie trying to be civil with Kino and prove stuff when they don't care. They need a target. Exactly, and that's why Duty's a soft target, because he's a good target. What the hell are you being civil with fucking Kino for? You know what I'm saying? Like, Kino's playing Duty stuff on their stream before, I'm sure. What is there to be civil about? You don't have to go over there and say nothing about nothing. Just keep putting out the content. You know what I'm saying? And whatever their narrative is, whatever their narrative is, it's not gonna crack. It's not gonna crack Duty's community or whatever. So what does he care? Ramza675 says. Was hoping you would stream later when the circus ends. Phil's about to talk with Null soon. I will. I'm gonna end up stopping the stream in a little bit because I want all of you guys to go over there. I want you guys to watch it. And if almighty willing, we can reconvene after the fact and we can speak on it because I do wanna talk about it. So yeah, this won't go for too much longer because I don't want to hold you guys. So if any of you guys feel the need to get out of here, I know there's a couple of people already restreaming and whatnot. Go over there, check that shit out, and then, like I said, hopefully we can reconvene after the fact. If not, I'll see you guys like maybe tomorrow or later in the week or something. Polish Debo says. Dodie should move along like he did when Pastor Eric Miller came at him.
The thing. Let me clarify the thing with the. Yeah, actually, Debo, I'll leave it at that for right now. I'll leave it at that right now. I agree. He should just let that go and just keep farming the content. That's all he's got to do. That's all he's got to do. I don't know what exactly is going on with him today, but just going off yesterday and everything previous to that over the last few days, he should just keep farming the content. He doesn't need to add anything to it. You don't need to justify nothing to nobody. Don't try to win people over who aren't trying to be won over. Right now, it is Kino, it's Keem, it's Josh. Right now, it's works to their benefit to keep DSP in pocket. So if keeping DSP in pocket means shitting on you, then guess what happens? I need to shit on you. Until after that right there is conducted, then I can hear you're part of it, and then we can work out what's what. And it's really just comes down to reading a room. That's really what it comes down to. You got to be able to read a room on that shit. This situation, this is as close as some of these guys may ever get to talking to DSP. You can't afford to fuck it up. Not now. Not this close. Okay, let's, I don't want to speed run, but let's go.
Ultimayat Solkin says. That imagery.
My bad on that and whatnot, like pause, whatever the case may be, but I wanted to just get the perspective of how much of a cocksucker DSP is and how that dude's got no pride. Straight bitch. Straight bitch. And the fact that people still believe that he has pride astounds me to no end. It astounds me to no end. You know what I'm saying? Fucking A. It astounds me to no end. But then again, like I said, we can agree to disagree. Like, that shit ain't nothing, it's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I've said a lot of things that people don't agree with. So it is what it is. I can live with it.
Kumi Connors says. Golden Triangle Gaming Live, how do you think this Josh vs DSP is gonna go? I'm curious on your answer.
As of right now, because I say I'm gonna give you guys another 5 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna let you guys go. As it pertains to how I expect DSP to play victim. I expect DSP to sit there and grill Josh on his justification for the farms. Why does it exist, despite all the quote-unquote people that are hurt by it? How does he sleep at night? How is he okay with innocent people who may occasionally fuck up being harassed and him helping to propagate it and whatever? I expect Josh to sit there and say, it's a site. People are welcome to join. People are welcome to speak whatever they want. And then Josh probably taking some type of angle where I understand people may take it too far. That's not something that I advocate, which is true. Josh does not advocate that. But the very people on the site that are like you know what I'm saying, like your power users that are on that site and on that thread don't advocate for that either. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's going to be a back and forth between that. And I'm wondering if Josh decides to drop ProleteR's name. It wouldn't be a good idea, but I am curious to see if he does it. I am curious to see if he's going to try to bring ProleteR up and try to throw all the weight on him, which wouldn't be true, by the way. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, though, too, ProleteR's my man, so I got a bias there. But it's not true. It's literally not true. It's not true for any of those fellas that are up there. You know what I'm saying? The people who went up there, who did the ops, were literally up there looking for ass pats. At least the majority of them. The rest of the guys, they got talking behind the scenes and they got straightened out. But even I don't have the full details. You should speak to ProleteR about that in detail. But that's what my initial thoughts are. But we'll see. We will certainly see. Let's see here. It's at 5 minutes. All right, we're 3 and some change. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got.
L.I.M.B Commander says, man, everybody needs to listen to that new Darkseid drill. Man, he went off LOL.
Nice. I checked it out.
Razor Sharp says, Dodie makes $5,000 a month. DSP spends $5,000 on his business alone a month. Right? Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So if you're DSP, right, and if you think about it, he's looking at Duty's $5,000 and being like, "That's my $5,000." So if you're DSP, he's looking at it like, "Well, shit, that could justify me spending $5,000, and then I could quote unquote save $5,000." But DSP don't know how to save. That's why DSP started doing the clips in the first place, which is what I told you guys, that you're going to see him try to segment shit out of the live stream and try to make it into standalone videos and whatnot, so it's not in the VODs later. But then again, he doesn't keep the stream up as a full VOD anyway, so it's whatever. But that's the reason why he started doing clips, because he saw what Kino Casino's doing, and he's like, well, shit, I can try to do clips on mine and try to get that extra money. Now he knows what Duty does, and now he has an idea of what Duty's views look like and the money he makes, so he's going to try to go off that. But him and Duty don't make the same amount of money per ads. I'm pretty confident of that. So even if DSP could pull 1.5 million views or 1.2 million, whatever, I'm not watching that close. Let's say 1.2 million or between 1.2 and 1.5. That doesn't calculate the $5,000 for DSP. It's not going to be the same on what Duty makes. It's just not going to be it. Silent Weapon C8 says, Doty's the new villain of season 16. Phil always needs a boogeyman to help him play the victim. Well said. Like DSP, and the thing is Duty makes a very good villain. At least in the short term, because it doesn't really matter what his backstory is. Whatever is said about him, he's going to more than likely respond to. That in itself is enough engagement that Kino Casino can farm off of and continue to push DSP on. Because I know DSP's talking currently about, I'm not going to speak about Duty no more, I'm done with it. Bullshit. Because that shit's going to come up when he talks to Keem on Wednesday. And matter of fact, if that keeps bringing the victim complex to DSP plus the money, of course he's going to keep doing it. He's just going to act like he's above it for right now. Meth Bear says, no notification gang. What's up, Meth Bear? The reason, that's actually my fault. I tried to do 3 streams earlier, so this should have happened hours ago, and had a problem all over. I got it straightened out, but now I'm at my limit to what YouTube will send notifications out for. So like the stream that happens later, you guys might not even catch a notification for that either. So that's kind of on me, but it's kind of on the ghost of Susan too. It is what it is. J Corona 984 says, the big winner in all this? Tevin for staying out of the way as far as I know. It's not even just the fact that Tevin has always been kind of one of those people though. Theo too.
have always been one of those guys who just sit back and kind of just let shit play out and just come into things occasionally, right? You know what I'm saying? There's no need to spit on every piece of pussy that's in front of you and shit. Pick and choose. You know what I'm saying? Shop around a little bit. There's no, you know what I'm saying? There's no need to go ahead and run into every shop that you see, you know what I'm saying, on the block. Take your time with shit. It's like that. So, you know what I'm saying? And that type of discretion comes with what comes with experience, and it comes with patience, to be honest with you. There's no need to, because I know I did a lot in my rookie season and the couple seasons I had afterwards. Man, when anything like this shook up, yeah, you caught a video a day for me. Like, for sure, for sure. But I think as time went on and I got more into doing long form content, I feel like I would rather give you guys, like, I'd rather give you guys 9 hours worth of content broken up into 3 videos and whatnot than to just go ahead and throw at you like a 4-hour video for the next 2 days and like hope everything kind of falls into place and I don't have to do something on the quick. Because rushing something is just not... When you're early on, you don't mind rushing shit, but as time goes on, you start to rationalize shit a little bit better.
Almighty Gookie says, I can see this being one giant circular conversation that starts interesting and gets boring.
I think so too. I wouldn't expect, I don't know how long this thing with Josh is going to happen, but I'd say past the first 45 minutes, I wouldn't expect too much else to happen. It's just an agree to disagree type thing. Let's see here. Let's try to get 2 more and then we're going to call it quits.
Both Keeperoxes 99 says, Phil does think he's on top, but he's going to fall very far and he'll be back to the same numbers. It's still the same people. He's the one that hurting his family,
not us.
Not us.
Agreed. All right, Meth Bear, you're finishing your last man up.
Meth Bear says, I make a good living as a lawyer. Pay all my bills, save for retirement, and have plenty left over. I wouldn't turn down an extra $5,000 a month. It would be ridiculous to turn it down.
Agreed. But DSP's DSP. He's talking all this shit about morals and ethics and all that. What do you know about any of that bullshit? But good call on that, Meth. All right, Razor, actually, let me bring you in and be last, and then go ahead and get out of here. Check that thing out, and hopefully I'll see you guys in a few hours. All right, Razor, you're up.
Razor Sharp says, I think Phil might try the angle that his detractors are the same people running the ops on the farms, and using that to agree with Josh on his thread being terrible.
That's what I'm, yeah. That actually doesn't sound too far off the mark, to be honest. Okay. All right, people. Any ideas for the next stream time? Not yet. I'm shooting.
Meth Bear says, any idea on the next stream time?
If everything goes right, Meth, it'll be right after. I'm hoping it'll be right after the stream with DSP and the farm and Kino Casino. So, within 30 minutes to an hour after it ends. If not, then I'll try to catch you either tomorrow or later in the week. But that's the plan. I'd like to try to do it tonight and try to get everything out there while it's fresh. And then we can still have a conversation tomorrow or later in the week. But thank you guys for showing up. Get out of here. Have a good time. Big ups to whoever it is that you guys are checking out the restreams on. And hopefully I'll catch you guys later. Take care of yourselves.
Mighty Gookie says. Yong out.